It truly is the true fountain of youth. Wait till you see this. This was a 6-month program of moderate exercise, just walking, jogging, stationary biking for 1 hour, 4 to 5 times a week. That's it. All that it entailed. That's not that much, right? An hour a day, 4 to 5 times a week, doing one of those things. What they found was that it turned back the clock 30 years. Now this is physiologically in the body for middle-aged men. And these were the same men. So wait till I tell you this study. They literally regained the cardiovascular fitness levels that they had when they were 20 years old back in 1966. What they did was in 1996, 30 years later, they found these same men and they tested them again. So let me tell you what they did. When they were 20, they tested their aerobic capacity and how much it changed after 3 weeks of bed rest. They wanted to see how much harm is bed rest on the human body. And they saw that bed rest on the human body was pretty harmful for 3 weeks. It really had an impact on these young men that at 20 years of age. So they found these young men 30 years later, and they did similar testing. They tested them before they started exercising and after the 6 months of exercise. Now, before they started doing the exercise, when they were 50, 30 years later, their weight had increased by about 25%. So they had gained weight in those 30 years. Their body fat had literally doubled in those 30 years, and their aerobic capacity had declined by 11% during those 30 years. But here's the interesting part, that 30 years of aging and all of that negative had done less damage to their aerobic capacity than the 3 weeks of bed rest did, right? So hanging out, doing nothing is one of the worst things you can do for your aerobic capacity and your health. But check this out. In that 6 months of exercise, they were able to reverse the effects of the aging for that 30 years and increase their aerobic capacity by 15% with exercise. They actually made their aerobic capacity better than when it was when they were 20 years old. So exercise is the true fountain of youth, okay? Now, sarcopenia. This is the medical term for losing muscle mass, but not losing body size. And I'm going to show you a picture of this. Now, this is what science tells us, that around that magic age of 45 or so, muscle mass starts to decline. Obviously, that's going to be very unique to the person. Not everybody stops moving at 45 and starts sitting more and exercising less, but that is a common result of aging, or I should say behavior during aging, right? People start to say, oh, I'm getting older, I can't do that anymore, you know, I can't really do that, I can't really, you know, handle that anymore, I got to start slowing down and taking it easy. Now, some of that may be true if the person is losing balance, if they're at risk for injuring themselves, but there are ways to recover that and restore that and get back to doing what you could do when you were younger. I've worked with many people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, even people over 100 years old. I've had people in the parallel bars in the nursing home over 100 years old doing squats. So, you know, I didn't do that to somebody who couldn't handle it, of course. I treat people based on their ability to perform, not their age. And the age is not what determines that, okay? It's how they've treated their body up to that point and what has happened to them. Sometimes it's accidents, injuries, surgeries, disease processes, illnesses, and it's nothing to do with age.